I'll never forget sitting in that doctor's office and hearing him say that the level of inflammation and damage in my body would be totally fine if I were 70. And at the time, I was only 26. Hustle culture took my health. I pushed myself for years, through pain, through exhaustion, through everything. All because that's what I thought it took to be successful. By the time I realized what was going on and what I was doing to myself, my body had already paid the price. Hey, I'm Nicolette. I'm a single mom. I homeschool my 2 kids, and I run multiple businesses. For most of my life, I thought hustle was the only way to win. Work as hard as you can, all the time. Never, ever, ever, ever rest, because resting was wasting. I was proud of being the person who never took sick days, who stayed up all night if that's what it took, who did absolutely everything all the time. It didn't matter how tired I was or how exhausted I felt. All that mattered was that I was doing everything. Maybe you've been there too, telling yourself that rest is for people who aren't serious about success. But that belief, it ended up costing me more than I ever expected. When my daughter was little, I worked all the time. I would be with her all day while sitting on my laptop. I would work until it was time for her to go to bed. I'd pause just to get her to sleep. And then I would make coffee at 8 p.m. and get right back to it. Sometimes till 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and then I would wake up at 7 to be with her once she woke up. I thought I was being responsible, taking care of my family, making sure that we had enough money to keep our house. I was a single mom, I am a single mom, so everything was up to me. I needed to be successful and work hard for the both of us. And I convinced myself that if I just worked hard enough now, then later I would get to spend time with her, and later I would get to relax and live my life. But maybe you've noticed this too. Those temporary seasons have a way of becoming an entire lifestyle if you're not careful. And my body finally forced me to pay attention. It all started in my hands. I would have pain from just holding a bag of chips. When I went to a buffet, I would hold the plate, and as I put food on it, I'd start to realize that my hands couldn't hold it. So I would end up rushing back to the table as fast as I could before my hands gave out. And eventually, the pain spread to my eyes, my joints, my entire body, my back, my spine. It was everywhere. And after years of just pushing through it, I finally went to a specialist. I would go to the doctor and I would tell them, hey, my hands are really hurting. And they'd say, yeah, you're young, you're fine, don't worry about it. And it wasn't until after I had my daughter that they actually thought, hey, let's send her to a specialist. So finally, when I got to that specialist, I was told that I have something called ankylosing spondylitis. I'll never forget sitting in that doctor's office and hearing him say that the level of inflammation and damage in my body would be totally fine if I were 70. And at the time, I was only 26. I was 26 years old, raising a baby, running a business, and hearing that my body looked like it belonged to someone who'd lived an entire lifetime of wear and tear. That was my wake-up call, because deep down, I knew I had played a role in that. Hustle culture glorifies overworking. It tells us that exhaustion is a badge of honor, and that the busier you are, the more successful you'll be. But here's what I learned the hard way. You can't build something sustainable by destroying yourself in the process. Working hard is not the problem. You definitely should work hard. Working hard without rest or recovery is the problem. Never taking a sick day is the problem. Never going on vacation is the problem. I never allowed myself any of those things. If I was not working, I felt guilty for not working, even if I was spending time with my daughter. It was honestly ridiculous. Eventually, I had to face the fact that I could not control everything, and I couldn't do everything. No matter how tightly I held on or tried to hold it all together, it just wasn't possible. And that's when I started letting go. I began trusting that I could just do my best and then leave the rest in God's hands. And that shift gave me peace that I hadn't felt in years, because I forgot that I don't have to be the one to do it all. So I stopped feeling guilty for trying to slow down. I stopped seeing rest as laziness, and I started realizing that rest was actually part of obedience. That it's okay to stop, to breathe, and to trust that things won't fall apart because I'm not the one holding them all together. I wish I could tell you that I learned this lesson gracefully, but I didn't. I learned it because I pushed myself until my body couldn't keep up anymore. And even after I found out what was going on, I still pushed for years. Getting out of that mindset was not something that happened overnight. I still catch myself falling back into that same pattern. I will end up working all day, working all night, because I have goals and I am in no way a patient person. So when I see something that I want, I'll start working every waking hour towards it. And I have to remind myself, no, that's not going to get me there faster. All it's going to do is lay me out. So it takes being intentional about resting every single day, about choosing not to go full speed all the time just because you can. If this sounds familiar to you, you're not alone. I am still figuring it out too. How to run my business, how to homeschool my kids, how to be there for my kids, and protect my health at the same time. On this channel, I'll be sharing more of what I've learned, not just the systems and strategies that make business easier, but also the mindset shifts that make life better. So now you know my story. I would love to hear if any of you have ever experienced anything similar, from working too hard, from never sleeping to, just trying to chase your goals a little too quickly. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about you. And if you are ready to work hard and stay healthy, hit subscribe, hit like, and stick around for more content like this. Thanks.